I'm just gonna put this clip of y'all trying to like land on the rock
It's like a metaphor.
at the
Like we're
start of
all
the episode.
yeah, it's a metaphor of us wanting to always aim for things and we end up not really aiming for them, but
Oh my god.
um going through the journey of trying and then yeah.
I am very, very excited to welcome you to the first official episode of HYPERFIXTATION, a brand new podcast where people talk about the things they love. I am your host, Nathalie Tay, a writer, streamer, and event organizer based in Malaysia. If I occasionally bring a tissue to my eye, it may or may not be because we're going to be talking about some stressful things today with Hera. But I think mainly is that my eye is still healing from this perpetual eye thing that I've been having for like the past 2 weeks. So, in the event that you're watching this video on YouTube and I'm dabbing at my eye every 5 minutes, that's why. I am joined today by Darren Barker, aspiring game developer, my co host in this podcast, a shithead in web fishing, and also my fellow co founder of the Chum Drinkers. And we have Hera, our very first guest for episode 1. Woo!
Smiles nervously.
Oh my god, Hera's so nervous for absolutely no reason. I don't know why you're so nervous.
I don't
It's
know.
gonna it's gonna be
I don't know, it's
fine.
just a thing.
You've
I think it's
literally
the
been on a
coffee.
podcast with us before.
That's true.
And we were playing Fortnite that time. That was even worse.
Yeah, that was worse. But yes, Hera,
True,
would you
true, true.
like
I
to
was very
start by introducing yourself to the
Mm.
people who don't know you?
So hi, my name is Hera. I'm a streamer for the Chum Drinkers. I yap a lot. I do play indie games though, and FPS games like Overwatch. Overwatch, but recently my kind of like primary FPS game that I've been obsessed with is Marvel Rivals, unfortunately. And recently I've been streaming some art, so I'm just starting that up like this year. So I just want it to be like a thing that I tend to do like every other week or so, just so I could practice. As my main job, and I think people may also know this, but graphic design is my passion. I'm an art director for an advertising agency here in Philippines, and I also assist here and there as a designer and person who tends to like oversee a lot of like the production stuff. Also at my family's business, so they do like printing and all that. So I just really am always working. So yeah, that's I think that's pretty much it.
Wonderful. And today we're here to talk about something that is hopefully not work. Although I think it
It's
will
not work.
tangent to work anyway. The entire ethos of the Hyperfixation podcast is that we talk about something that our guest has been really obsessed with recently. And Hera told me that she wants to talk about streaming and stream innovation. So why don't you kick us off with why?
Okay,
A totally
so
no pressure, not a big question at all. Why?
Mhm. I mean, I'll say I picked up streaming as a hobby back in 2020. Like when people were still like going through the pandemic and stuff. It was really a hobby that started out with me trying to use Twitch as a way to record my VODs because I would always be playing with friends and it would always be online. And I wanted to have like space on my computer, so I just end up doing that and recording it. But little by little, I think a lot of people started like coming in and introducing themselves, and from there, it just like became a thing where which I use as kind of like a platform almost for being creative. Because I guess it stems from the fact that I am a creative person in general. Like my job is design, my job is like doing art direction. And I tend to like gravitate to that for my other hobbies as well. So in this case, what I really like about streaming, it's not really like streaming. It's not like I hit the start button and then what I enjoy is like just streaming it in general. It's more of like the behind the scenes, like what really goes on. So I recently started to think about like what am I really obsessed with? I don't know. I've been grappling with the thought that maybe is graphic design my obsession, but not really, because I only really like certain things. Like I would say that I'm good at my job, but I don't really love it. Does that make sense? So I really love doing certain designs, which is honestly like overlays, stuff for my stream, emotes, and also like the little things that I tend to do, like that's interactive on my stream, kind of like the one where you do the chat commands and it does like a
Mm.
certain thing. So I like that kind of stuff. I like something fun. And what I've been doing lately is just really like nitpicking what's on my stream, making sure things are nicely designed. Like I realized that's something fun that I really wanted to do and I really like to do. And I guess it's like when I say behind the scenes, I mean like how I would do a certain thing. Like for example, maybe I could talk about like how I have this starting stream screen. So it's basically me putting stuff in a pot of noodles basically, and other people can type like exclamation point Naruto, and it falls down from the ceiling and then into the pot. So something like that. I guess it's something that's very interesting that I also tend to do for like certain things. Like when I had like a um that collaboration with Toge for Moses and Plato. I
Mm.
did the thing where if you type choo choo, you can hear like the train choo chooing in the background basically. So
Aw.
like I started to do that, and recently I found out that I'm really obsessed with learning mix it up, where if you want to do a certain thing, you can code it in and you can basically do that. Recently, I have this project ongoing for my stream where I wanted to have like a sort of scoring system. And if people have like a certain score, they can win certain things. And it got to a point where if like I wanted to do like a collective thing, like getting everybody's points, and then it does stuff, and that kind of like goes down the line to like more logic and code. So that's pretty much like the hyper fixation. I don't know if I'm making sense. It does feel more like technical stuff. So
Tipa
kind of like
says
that.
it's like social credit on Hera's stream.
Yes,
I mean,
Because
in
I
do you want to know
know.
how she described it the other day when Hera was telling us this idea? It was a battle pass within her stream. That's how she was selling the idea.
I think Battle Pass sounds a
Actually, yeah,
lot
battle
better than
pass.
social
Battle
credit.
pass, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Think of it as a battle pass. So everybody has scores. Like I was thinking, okay, I need to like have a score for the lurkers so they can earn points. So they can win like certain things. And then the chatters who chat a lot, and then the people who are extroverted enough to join like the games. So those are like three categories. But at the same time, like but that is so individual. What if I want people to like band together to get as much points as possible so they can win stuff? And that's when I'm just like thinking, okay, how do I add their score plus this score plus this score? So using mix it up, I was just doing like all the if then statements type of thing and nerd stuff and I don't know, like I really like that kind of aspect where I'm using like logic and code to be able to do things. And I think it also stems from the fact that even before, like before I was very fixated on the stream, I tend to like do a lot of techie stuff with HTMLs and CSS. And doing things like that aren't really done by others before. And I guess I could go with the example, for example, Neopets. Like back then I would code stuff and make like profiles for people because no one ever does that. And I would also do like these pages because people would do like example pet directories. So they would list like all the pets who are painted this certain color, but I wanted to do something special for mine that people haven't done before. So it was back when JavaScript wasn't a thing. Like you really have to use HTML, CSS to be able to do what you want to do in a creative way. So I try to do like things with hovering. So if you hover over something, you can see like the pet customized, and it pulls up the design of that certain like pet or character plus all the other details there. And people at the time were like, "Whoa, but that's really cool. How did she do that?" kind of thing. And I was just like, evil genius type of thing. So I really like that kind of I don't even know. It's not even the output of it. It's the getting to that certain point. The I wouldn't want to be cheesy and say it's a journey to figure out like what's the logic is from this to that. But that was also the thing that I was very much having fun with when I was trying to figure out the battle pass for my stream. I can't believe we're using the term battle pass now, but I guess it's a battle pass, guys. It's a battle pass for the stream, and it's really fun, and I feel very creative, and I think I've started to use streaming as a platform to kind of like further push that creativity that I otherwise wouldn't be able to do, even in advertising, because they do say that advertising is where creativity runs, etc., etc. I don't think that's true, but yeah,
Do
basically
they
I
say
found
that?
this platform. Yeah, like I mean, you could tell with all the awards shows and all that they award these creative minds, these innovative things, creativity that could change the world type of stuff. So I don't know, like I still think it's a limited space, but I found streaming to be a platform to test out like different kinds of things that I would otherwise not be able to do. Like I would just think I want to do this and then I will do it because it's a space. It's kind of like a way for me to experiment and stuff. So, yeah, that's and I also get to like do my graphic design that I really like doing, but in an in like uninhibited way.
Yeah.
And it's pretty freeing because I could just do something and it's there and that's it. It's done.
Now I'm
Yeah.
curious how you came to settle on wanting to talk about streaming today and stream related things. Because I remember when I reached out to you to potentially do the episode, there was this like hesitation on okay, what do I talk about that's not work related?
Oh my god. Okay, so, well, honestly, like trying to figure out the topic was very difficult because I don't think I am obsessed with a lot of things enough, if that makes sense. Like I think about the shows that I've watched, I'm not as obsessed with them. Maybe if you had asked me ages ago when I was a kid about Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I would have talked about Full Metal
Oh
Alchemist
my god, were
Brotherhood
you in
for this
really
podcast.
into Full Metal
Yes,
Alchemist, brother?
really into Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood back then. I could talk about it for like hours on end. Um, if you had talked to me when I was a teenager during Neopets, I would have talked about Neopets and coding. So I think the Full Metal Alchemist one is the outlier in that regard because Neopets is still related to creativity because of the tech stuff involved. And if you had talked to me about maybe Overwatch 6 years ago when it was still a big thing and I was still very much competitive in it, I would have been like, "Yep, let's talk about Overwatch," because I was very obsessed with it back then, and I would like research what kind of characters to use, stuff like that, what strats. Like we did scrims before weekly. To
Yeah, I
practice against
know.
it's like other people, and it was just like wild. And now that I think about it, like I'm looking at myself now, what am I obsessed about aside from work, which I don't even think it's obsession because I don't feel any love towards it. I look at the TV shows I watch, it's not really and the games are great, but I don't think I could talk about them for hours. Maybe one, maybe 30 minutes or so, but I wouldn't call it an obsession. But with stream, like getting ready for the stream, like I think I have to be specific on that. Like I tend to prepare so much for it, and like again, there was this one Saturday where I was just like free. I could have watched Netflix. I could have gone out with friends. I could have just like I don't know, played Marvel Rivals. But instead, I'm just like I'm gonna go and
Work on my
design
battle
this.
pass.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on my battle pass. Like I'm gonna work on this code card and then figure out the code on how to do this category thing. I wrote up a document. I
Oh my
literally
god.
wrote I wrote up a Google Doc about the mechanics of this, like oh how many points this would be and why. And I had to like rationalize like why is it three categories? Why not two? Or why not just one? And the reason for it, and also name studies. Name studies on what I could call those categories.
Oh my
and
gosh.
why. It was just like a wild. It was an entire day. It was like a 12 hours of work. 12 hours of work that just
Not
passed
really
by.
work.
Yeah, and then I think I hopped onto a call with you guys, and I was just like, I have figured out the
I
battle pass, but
remember
I
that
can't do
call.
the. Yeah, I can't do the thing. I don't know how to like make a variable. How do you like how do you set this variable to here, because it doesn't seem to want JavaScript. I don't get it. And I managed to get it, and I was just like so happy. And it's like genuine happiness. And it's not the kind of happiness I would get when I would like send something over to a deadline. It's like, yay, the poster's done. Okay, next poster. I didn't feel like that. I was just like, I'm gonna just stay in this high of being happy. I even messaged Justin. I talked to him about it. I don't think he understood anything I've said. I don't think I don't think he understood anything, but he's just like, yep, great. And I told Piazza, I told my other friends, like, here, look at these screenshots, random things that make no sense. And I was just so happy talking about it. And I don't think I've had any other thing currently that makes me want to talk about it to other people who was just like, look at this, look at that. I even bugged my sister about it while she was studying. Stuff like that. And I also realized like this is just like one instance of it. I also had like previous I would say events that I've had on stream that I really worked on. Like example is Peasant Cup. So
Yeah, yeah.
before long ago, 3 years. Ew. 3 years ago, me and Justin and a couple of friends decided to host like a very poor tournament on my stream for Overwatch. So it was back then 6v6 games, and there was no prize whatsoever. It was just for fun, and so for like I think 3 entire days of me just from Friday to Sunday, just cramming all the graphics and stuff, like the overlays. There was a video. There was a website. We even like
Wait, you
I
made
think
a website for Peasant Cup?
I bought a domain, my
Huh?
dude. I bought a domain
Oh my
for
gosh.
that competition that had zero prize and zero entrance fee. What have I done? I've lost money over I've lost money over the stream. I don't earn stuff.
Oh my
Yeah, I
gosh.
think it was a ougpeasantcup.com. It's gone now. It's gone now.
I was about to search it up.
So yeah, I coded the thing, and it was beautiful. It was like it was the proudest I've ever been, and it did not win like a can lion or anything. And I also also part of the materials or posts on socials, and even like the certificates of people. Like if you win, congratulations, here's your prize, which is I told them a printed $5 with a gum with Justin's face in it, something like that. So it was in a PDF file. I also gave a certificate in colored version and also a printable version if they want to print it on their own. So it's black and white and outlined,
Oh my gosh.
stuff like that. Like, oh my gosh. And it went on for like, I think 3 seasons, with the third season being Valorant. And each time, I don't have the materials right now, but the design for it leveled up. And like it had like different themes and all that. So in those certain times, I was also very, very obsessed with it. I remember like I'd take screenshots of my work and be like, look at these friends. I don't think they've understood what I was doing or why. I think the more important thing is like I don't think they understood why I was doing this. But anyways, that was really fun. And I still
Okay.
look at
Yeah.
those like moments super 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 fondly. And if we had the time, we would have Peasant Cup 4 with something else. I don't know, maybe something chill like web fishing. Yeah,
Chill.
people with the
I thought you were
most.
gonna say Marvel Rival.
Oh no, oh god. People
No?
will be happy. I don't think Justin could because Justin is their commentator slash analyst slash every person who talks a lot during the thing. So yeah, I don't think he can cast that. I'm not really sure. I think he would be confused. There's so many things happening in that game. So aside from those events, I also tried to do like quiz nights for people. I think there was a time when I wanted to have everybody, not just like guests. Like for example, I used to have like a thing before where you and Styra are here in the stream, and I would be asking questions and taking points.
Oh
But
yeah.
that is such a limited interaction, I would say. So I wanted to get everybody in the chat involved. So how do you get everybody involved without thinking about how to score it? So I had to like research and see until I found out this I would is it a plugin that you have for Twitch where you can just like type in the questions and everybody would do that. So I was always obsessed with doing something different every other stream if I have the time for it, just so people can have fun. And I don't think it really does have a goal. It's just for funsies, literal. I don't even know what the goal for the battle pass is. I'm literally losing money giving away these theme cards and stuff for the people who win them. But sure,
Hey man,
sure.
as
I
long
think
as
it's
it
just
brings you
fun,
joy.
and I like seeing it work. Like I like seeing it get the numbers right, like in the thing. So that's really fun. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like the obsession with making things and then having these things actually come to life. And I think my measure of if I'm happy with it and if I really really love it, it's just me talking about it nonstop in an exciting way that you don't really necessarily have to understand. I'm sorry to Justin, who I just spammed some screenshots with.
No, it's just really interesting. And I love that we have started doing this podcast because I get to talk to people who are interested in like a variety of different things. Because like I have been streaming like okay, how long have you been streaming for since 2020?
Yeah, since 2020.
You've been
It's five. It's been
streaming
5 years almost.
yeah. No, you've
Yeah.
been streaming 2 years longer than me and your passion for it is still so alive. For lack of a better term. Like you
Oh,
are
I died.
oh, I think you just died.
I think I died. Okay.
Yeah, your passion for it is alive, not like you who just died.
I think it's honestly, I feel like in the years that I've been streaming, I did feel some form of like maybe in the third year. Because I think the third year, wait, 2020, 2021. No, just kidding. It was second year, 2021, because that was a time when I was very obsessed with Valorant. Ew. I'm so sorry. I was very obsessed with Valorant, and all I did was just like, cause that was in between. That was in between the events, like in between um the peasant cup stuff and all the quiz nights and all that, because I tend to do the quiz nights on. I think I did one for Valentine's Day. I did one for Halloween. I did an event for Christmas. So only really on those holidays. And then you have things in between where it's just me playing a pew pew game I don't even love. I don't know why I do it, but it is what it is. I did feel kind of stagnant. There was like this feeling of stagnant for my stream, which is kind of weird if you think about it. It's really really weird because it's supposed to be a hobby, but I don't think at that time on the second year of my streaming it was serving me and my needs, and I think my
Yeah.
needs at that time early to just be creative to do stuff that I would be happy with even in my spare time, because um on the other parts of my time I would be working. So it's like what can I do with my spare time where I would still be happy? Um I don't want to go on the route of like productivity equals happiness, but my brain has to always be like thinking about something, to be excited about something and to be creating, because I think the creating part of it, not the working part, is the thing that's just keeping me going. So that's why I started to have like more variations. I tried more variations in games, and that's how I got into indie games on my third year of streaming. And I kind of like stuck with it because with the indie games, like they have so many different mechanics, and that's what I love about them. Like there's so many different mechanics for how they do things, how they tell their stories. And in
Mhm.
a way, it was very inspiring because okay, they can do this. So why can't I do this? Like so I don't know how the battle pass kind of got born from that. I thought that's a different thing. I think it's Overwatch being Overwatch. But now I'm like thinking about like okay, what's a good way to like do something interactive that people are gonna like and have fun, and I'm gonna like doing. So I think that's how I kind of kept that spirit alive, and it's still alive now because now I have so many like plans on what to do. Because even after the battle pass, I have like another project that I'd want to do on quarter 3.
The fact that you're
Because
calling it quarter as well.
quarter 3.
But you know, the way that you're describing it makes me think about when I had that real excitement for like upgrading my stream, maybe like a year ago or 2 years ago. I would say that's when my excitement for streaming and everything was really at its peak. And if I could describe the feeling, I think it really, funnily enough, was kind of related to like advertising stuff. And I think it's the joy of like you do advertising and I do project management on a daily basis for work, that it's kind of fun to do it and like utilize the full extent of your skills, but for something fun and something that's like completely in a way easy to control, I guess, because it's literally you are branding yourself and you're selling yourself and you're doing stuff that's just yourself. There is no like client, you have the client that you have to like consult here is you know what I mean? And you get to use
Mhm.
all the things that you sort of know how to do well, like branding and graphics and copywriting and all that, but you get to do it for like something that is creatively fulfilling. I think that was like the excitement for me when I was in that sort of passion phase of wanting to upgrade my streams. And then now I'm just like kind of lazy about it. I guess because
Losing
my outlets have
motivation.
shifted, you know.
I'm trying to think if I had the same feeling. I don't think I did.
I think your case is different, right? Because you like
mine mine very much started at the beginning of streaming, prior to affiliate even. Because Nat might remember about this story, but I don't know if Hera knows about it. I think like within the first week of stream, because this I started streaming during the pandemic, like the middle of pandemic when everything was still on lockdown and everything. No one else had anything to do. I started streaming. And within the first week of streaming, and I was still using a really old gaming laptop, right? I don't have everything that I have now. It was just that one monitor, that really shitty computer that I was running on, playing Terraria. Within the third stream itself, I already did a 24-hour stream just for fun. No one asked me to do it. There was no incentive. I wasn't trying to hit affiliate. I was just fucking bored. I did a 24-hour stream on Terraria, and it was really fun at that time. But like, my god, I can't do that shit right now. I'm too. I
old.
wouldn't. I wouldn't say old. I'm not that old yet. Well, technically, I am. I'm 26. I'm past. Fuck, quarter life crisis is over.
That's
I'm
old.
old now,
I'm
relatively.
thinking like I'm
That's
turning
old.
29 this year.
We're all getting old.
Oh
But yeah, like
god.
with streaming now, it became more. Not to say I don't like streaming, but I wouldn't say I have the same level of excitement that Hera does now. It's very much just a space for me to chill with.
Tipas brings up something interesting, which is that when you do something for yourself, it's like self-love. And I guess it's kind of like that. Or at least when you talk about why you do streaming and why you do all these things, it makes me think of that for sure, Hera.
I came into this with I guess with the goal of it just being a hobby. I think at some point I've had conversations about monetizing and stuff like that, but I don't think like I'm kind of scared to actually do that because I already know that that's a totally different kind of stress. And to think of a hobby as something that needs to be monetized, I kind of want to like not do that because I'm already like stressed enough with other things in the job and also in the family business now that that's come in. So it's like every part of my life has been like monetize, even my illustrations, because I do illustrations as well as design. Let's
Mm.
say before I've done paintings and all that, those emotes and everything, overlays and stuff, like I've done those for money. And well, that's great. Well, that's great actually. I wouldn't want all my hobbies to be about money. I think it's kind of unhealthy in that regard. I do think that there's a possibility of it, but I think it's a conscious decision not to like make it into something like that, at least for me. Like it's something that works for me. And with that kind of stress out of the way, because I would it also means like I wouldn't be thinking about my CCV. I wouldn't be thinking about the number of people in my chat. Like I wouldn't be thinking about I guess stream schedules that much and other interactions. I'm only really thinking about my friends, honestly speaking. Like I always think about, okay, what would what would Piazim like think about this? What would Justin think about this? Like literally the regular people who do come in my chat are my friends that I also like interact with outside of streams. So I guess when I do stuff, I'm like, okay, these are the audiences. How do I then like make it fun for those specific people? And it's just a bonus if others are also like having a great time with it as well, because we do try to include everybody
Hmm.
there. So, but yeah, I think not thinking about it as anything more than a hobby kind of makes it sort of like a safe space for creativity because I don't have to think about all that stuff, like all the numbers, all
Yeah.
that data. I just have to think about, okay, what meme would people think? Let's put Justin's face on the stream. Yeah, that kind of stuff. I'm already thinking about something for Piazza. He hit the 4 year mark. It means he can't go anymore. So I'm thinking about those for my friends. And I think that's really what makes it kind of like a good place to experiment too. Because I think of it like, okay, hobby, platform, canvas, that sort of thing.
I do agree that not focusing on monetization of your hobbies. Like going back to the whole beta pass thing, right? When Hera told us about the idea chat, the first thing Ned and I said is, "Holy shit, you should sell this on Ko-fi or whatever other platforms that you can think of." And the first thing that she said was that, "Oh, I didn't think about it." Which I think really tells the difference between how Ned and I think and Hera think, especially when it comes to like streaming and whatnot. To us, like at least for me, I can speak on this from my personal experience, is that if I was a person who cared more about my streaming, I wouldn't mind buying the battle pass system that Hera's making for like, let's say something cheap, like $5 or $10. Having that widget, essentially the widget to be able to be customizable for whatever needs that I want, it's something that kind of lacked in the streaming space, like more creative functionality between chat integration and the streamers, apart from just the video games. But you know, who's got the time to make a whole ass video game with chat integration? It's interesting to see that Hera is still very much interested within creating that chat integration with the streamer outside of just the video games. Whether or not she could make a living out of it, I think she could, genuinely speaking. It will be both creatively fulfilling for her, creating like weird mini games and whatnot around, and also pay some bills, but that's for her to decide.
I do
I have
understand the
to
like need to not monetize though, or have it like completely unrelated to like work, because it kind of ruins it, doesn't it? Like when you start thinking about monetization and then your brain immediately kicks in like, okay, I have to think about like performance numbers and how to market this and how often do I have to like shout it out on social media so that like people will know about it and like maintain awareness. It's like, I don't know, my brain is completely automatic when it comes to those things, and it's like it gets really stressful really quickly.
Does it
Mhm.
get stressful though? My brain automatically goes to it, but I don't find it stressful.
I don't
It's
know.
like
I
second
have two
nature.
thoughts.
Okay,
Oh,
go
go ahead.
ahead. What are your two thoughts?
Okay, first thought, you remember right when Styra said, "Oh, I wouldn't mind." You know, my first thought was, "Oh,
Mm.
you want me to help you for free?" Only for Styra, which is
Uh,
something you're probably gonna like smack me on the head for. Like, want to do?
Yes,
I
I
can do
would.
it for free. You want only for Styra or only for friends.
It's okay,
And
I'll
my
tip you
second
on.
thought was like, I don't want to deal with clients. It's also the reason why I wouldn't want to
That is
like
true.
monetize it. Oh my gosh, the client. As an advertiser, I'm very allergic to dealing with them on a free time.
That is fair.
I think it also depends on how like dear to your heart a thing is. I think.
Mhm.
Like I've been not so secretly working on a book, right? And like the one thought that I have been trying to like divorce from the creation of like the process of creating the book is trying not to think too much about the marketing and the end product of it. Like just trying to create it for the sake of creating something and not really like focusing on hey, do I think the subject matter is gonna be like marketable at the end of the day? Am I gonna be able to hook people from like the first chapter or anything? And there's a part of me that cannot be suppressed, that still is actively thinking about it, but I'm also putting in active effort like to not think. And maybe this is jumping a little bit ahead in like the conversation, but like to me, my burnout point was always like starting to think too much about the consequences of like doing a hobby. Like I'm doing something for fun and then suddenly there's like stakes involved. There's like stakeholders, there's money invested into it. There's like performance stats that
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
getting, and then like then it becomes stressful, and then it's no longer something that just purely like brings me joy or something that is fun to experiment with, because even experimentation then has like consequence.
Is it like the more visibility, the more visibility? Is that what it is? Like the more eyes on you, so it's not like something you could experiment with? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, kind of. um I don't know what the streaming experience has been like for you, Hera. And maybe you can elaborate on this a bit later. But for me, the more eyes I've had on something, I automatically have to be prepared for the negative consequences as well as the positive consequences. Like even with streaming, and wanting to, when I was in that phase of like wanting to grow stream, the thing that ultimately held me back from wanting to push even further with it was the audience, to be honest. And it was the stress of having like eyes on you, and also constantly having to make the decision of how you want to like portray yourself. So that was kind of like that became the stress of streaming for me. And I think it's because I got way too into like the branding headspace compared to, I think your passion for streaming is a lot more innocent in that sense, because you're really using it as like an outlet to like test your creative stuff, and like it doesn't really matter who's in chat or whatever. But like when I was really into Twitch, I was also really into like growth, and then it became about performance, it became about like branding, and then it kind of ruined it for me. So I can totally relate to like you wanting to divorce yourself as much from that mentality as possible.
I don't know about that. Who cares if who is in the chat? I do kind of curate it still. I mean, I don't want to be mean, but there are certain kinds of people that I would rather not be there. The ones who ruin the vibe. So
Mm,
if you, I mean, if I look at, like, I'm very very careful about how I also portray myself. Like I think there's a bit of a balance because obviously around friends I would be more wild, I would say. I would be more loud, I'd be more talkative and stuff like that. On a stream, I don't want to feel like I'm super 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 friendly. Might be a platform for me to be creative about things, but in terms of like personality and stuff, I don't want to be like too close to people. Like definitely, because
Mm.
that invites a certain kind of people that I might not like to have as a sort of community. So I think in terms of like curating, I wouldn't want to call it curating, but it kind of is.
yeah.
Like in the way I still do like the events, in the way I still do like the quizzes, um, in the way I still do like the interactions, it's still centered on, guys, please be nice. You have to be courteous and like respectful to the people in the chat. Like and I've always been pushing like, hey, you talk to meet this person here, they're good at this, or meet this person here, also marketer. So I kind of like try to do that, like okay, here, like network, make friends. But if there is
Network.
somebody make friends, but if I see somebody who's like, does not feel like the vibes of the people here, I feel like there's gonna be some kind of discomfort, um warn, or if the mods are there, they're gone. Like basically I try to like make sure that everybody still like behave, because I think it's also in the way that you want to present yourself too. Like I wouldn't want to do something really really cool and then have like negative people like take up that
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of space. So to be able to have like a space where I can be creative, where I can have fun with the people in the chat. The people in the chat have to be fun and also feel like they are in a good space to be, it's like a good version of themselves that they would want to present. So it's kind of like that. I think there's it's more of a subconscious action that they can't really like express on how
Hmm.
we do it, but definitely there are conversations with mods in that regard.
Yeah.
And I think in a way that also deals with the branding that you mentioned. Because my branding has always been on the slightly wholesome but chaotic side. We're having a great comedic time. It's not like serious gaming, but it's still respectful in that space. It's kind of like set in a more casual in betweenness,
Hmm.
but something that isn't like too competitive. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I also have to like mentally think of how I would want to present myself, how I would want to present the things I create, because I think that's also part of the branding, which is this chaotic but safe thing. It's like a house on fire, um but you don't get hurt. Kind of thing. I don't know. I'm sure there's an adjective of it.
Just put the "this is fine" meme on screen right
Yeah,
now.
this is fine. This is very fine.
I think with streaming, right? And having such a public outlet per se, curation is definitely necessary. And I think it's just a really interesting hobby to look at, and it brings up a couple of thoughts because like a lot of people have hobbies that sort of are solitary in nature and you can just kind of do it by yourself and you don't have to worry too much about like
The
the role
people
that
that
other
you meet.
people play
Mhm.
within your hobby, right? At the most, it's maybe like a co op sport or something that you take on with some friends, right? It's totally different from streaming, which is inherently like you become a public figure, right? And so
Yep.
I do think that curation is really important, especially in cases like yours, Hera, where it is your safe space for like creative expression. You don't want to reach a point where it gets ruined for you by external forces, right? Or you don't want to reach a point where like there is so much that you have to, for lack of a better term, you don't want it to reach a point where you're kind of dreading going on stream so that it no longer feels enjoyable
Yeah,
because
just like a
it's one of those hobbies that like can very quickly like pivot into that direction.
yeah, a comparison. I don't know why I suddenly thought about this. It's like Dungeons and Dragons. You don't play with the people that you don't like playing with, so you just kick them out of the group, kind of thing, right? And
It's a
it's
weird
the same
example.
as I don't know why that was the first thing that came to my mind. But like it's basically that, but with Twitch chat. Yes, they are quote unquote friends in the loose system because you do talk to them in one way or another very loosely. But at the end of the day still they are very much just people. And if they are the weird ones in chat that is very much making your stream uncomfortable,
Mhm.
it's perfectly fine to just kick them out of the community. Curation
Mhm.
is very much a part of Twitch or just the streaming space in general. Like how do you make your content enjoyable if the community is not allowing you to make it enjoyable, right?
It does invite a larger conversation. It's making me think about all the hyperfixations and hobbies out there that are very much public these days. Like a lot of the people I follow online, like in fandom, for example, right? For example, they get really into Arcane season 2. They're an artist. They like their art starts to blow up, and then suddenly they are having to deal with problems that a public figure has to deal with. It's just such an interesting space with the internet recently, that even with like my own certain like obsessions or hobbies, I've had to make very like conscious decisions to leave it off the internet or not post about it anywhere or just like leave it to talking between friends and that's it, because once you share it online it kind of opens up the risk to all these different factors corrupting it. I
Mhm.
guess.
For me, it was easy to keep some thoughts to myself because I grew up in. I'm old. I'm old. I'm old. I've gone through like internet forums. I've gone through Yahoo Messenger, stuff like that.
Jesus.
And even honestly, even Neopets had rules in their forum. Like if it's too personal, do not say it. If it has bad words, do not say it. You're not allowed to do this. Like there were very much distinct rules on how to make the community safe in those kinds of spaces. And even in the pro boards forums that I've been frequenting at, yes, you can be more personal, but there is like a boundary that they've already set. And I think growing up in those kinds of spaces, I know what to keep off the social media. Um, because I also grew up with blogs that are private blogs. So or even more private, I used to like do diaries or I talk to friends, that kind of thing. I think these days it's a little bit more difficult because with our social media landscape, it seems like everybody has like the platform, but they don't necessarily know the limits of being in that space, I think. So I think it's also like, how do you limit yourself from being too much of yourself?
Oh no.
How do you curate yourself, basically? That kind of thing. So I don't know, like it's like a balancing act between what you really think and what you want to say, but also like thinking about how it could affect other people and how that's gonna, I wouldn't want to think about it as a branding, but how it's gonna show as your brand.
Have you ever felt burnout from streaming?
I think I feel burnout from streaming if I have so much things to do at work.
So it's not even
No.
burnout from streaming, it's
It's
just
just
burnout in
burnout from
It's
general.
just
work.
burnout in it's just burnout from work. Um, like I think when it was in the Valorant ages, the
Uh,
second year. I think it was close to burnout. I think I was just like I just didn't feel that I was doing something interesting. I think
mm-hmm.
it's not even like am I doing interesting content? It's like I'm not doing anything interesting. So I
Like
think it's
even
the
for yourself?
yeah, like if I when I was playing that game, like I wasn't doing anything interesting.
Uh,
So I felt like since I was streaming that game, like there would be times that I wouldn't want to like go live. Like there was no reason for me to. Because also, if I'm playing if I'm playing that game, you don't really get a chance to talk to people. Like I think recently with the way that we play indie games on stream currently, I could pause it and then talk to whoever's there, and we get to like chat a bit, and then I say, okay, I'm gonna go play it again, and then play, and go back to chat, and then play. So I think there was always something interesting going on. But burnout because of streaming per se, aside from the Valorant ages, yeah, that I think those were the times when I would feel stagnant in the games I would play. I think really it's the type of games that I would play that causes it.
It was all
hmm.
Valorant's fault.
It's Valorant's fault.
Yeah, I just typed in
It's
chat. We should all
Valorant's
just
fault.
retcon Valorant era from everyone's lives. Valorant never
Uh,
existed.
Yeah, you have Valorant era, Sarah, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I was a one trick omen.
I think it's just the stress of the game also, plus the stream, plus you get to talk to people. I think there were so many things happening during the streaming time to the point that it's just stressful. Why am I doing this? I think it's just that one game in particular.
So before
You did.
we are forced to wrap up the stream, right? I did want to at least dive a little bit into how you feel streaming kind of like balances out work for you. Because, like, I think everybody knows. Anybody that knows you knows that you work a lot and you're always finding more work for yourself to do, and it's kind of your thing. I mean, it's as much your thing as it is my thing, right? At this point, we're both like
Mhm.
fellow workaholics, but for you, your like outlet for creativity has become streaming.
Okay, so the question is like, how do I feel about it plus work? I think in that regard, I we may have to talk about advertising.
Oh
We may have
no.
to talk
We're
about
back
work
to work.
in I'm trying not to, but I guess a little bit of background about what I do. So as an art director, you pretty much have to do everything. Um, so you have clients, they have campaigns. You're encouraged to be creative, but within the constraints of that, plus budget, plus everything else. Like there are so many things stopping you from doing something actually creative. That's why I kind of say that even though advertising says that, oh, you're being paid to be creative, that's not necessarily true. You're being paid to at least do something interesting that could sell. And I think in some way, shape, or form, it becomes very, very hard to grapple with because there's always that thing inside of a creative person to do something out of the box. But sometimes you're not allowed to do that. And there are certain, again, limitations that may be stopping you from doing something that you like, including how would the general populace think if this brand does this? Because they also have their own like image that they would want to maintain. What would the stakeholders say about this?
Mm.
Is there a budget for this kind of thing? So, when you're working in that kind of environment where, yep, you can be creative, you can be productive, you're rewarded for being productive, for doing so many things. And I think there is it's a different conversation when the way that you think, the way that you are creative, the way that you create work becomes your sort of value, and it's really really stressful because I feel like in this kind of industry, you kind of are what you do,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely they place so much emphasis on what kind of awards that you're gonna get. It's so annoying. Like I started advertising straight out of college. Like I was doing internship on my fourth year. I was doing internship on my fourth year. And in that internship, while it was a great company, wonderful, great work life balance, they would focus on awards, 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 awards.
Hmm.
And then when I came back to the Philippines, because I was in the US. When I came back to the Philippines, it's so much worse here in Asia for some reason. Because now it's like everything is awards. Young creatives are encouraged to join young creative competitions. They're sent to the Young Liaisons one, the one for yeah, that one. I forget what it is. Whatever. Or they're sent to Cannes in like
Mm.
to go through the workshops there in France and stuff like that. And it's such a big deal because if you don't get to go there, if you don't get to have your awards, you are nothing pretty
Yep.
much. You have to like think about making your name, being out there winning and stuff. And honestly, I've been doing like in my first few years of that, like I would be going to the fucking competitions. Um, I would join the young creative things. I had this goal of being for the 30 under 30 art
Oh
directors.
my
Blah blah blah
gosh.
blah. No, it was so wild, and I even had like this whole dream of being like a creative director by the time I was 25 because somebody I was looking up to became a creative director at 25 years old. I was like what 22 when I was like thinking of that, so I was
Oh
like
my
counting
gosh.
down the years, and it was such a lot of pressure, and it was so stifling in terms of like creativity because you have to win. You
Hmm.
have to win. Your idea should be award winning, not that your idea is effective, and to be thinking of that for like more than I think I've been in it for like 10 years now. It's just like I need to stop. I need to stop. I think I stopped thinking about awards like 4 years ago. Not 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I just stopped. I just don't want to do it anymore. And that's why I was like, everybody in my batch was thinking about, okay, I want to be an associate creative director. I want to be a creative director. I want to be an ECD. And I'm just like, I'm just going to stay here. I'm going to be an art director. And then I do a lot of other things in my hobbies because I honestly don't think this is worth it. And I'm just here to make money. I'm just here to at least help out in making something successful for certain people, but definitely like tying your passion to something commercial is hard. It's really really hard. And
Yeah.
while I could actually say I'm good at my job, but I think there are certain things in life that also need a little bit of my passion, like a little bit of the heart that I would otherwise put in my job, because your job is just a job, and that's why I gravitate towards streaming. And also other things like I do volunteer work for I volunteer, which is an organization here in the Philippines. They do a lot of like um they basically connect orcs like what do you call that? Charities to people
Mm.
via marketing. So I helped out as graphic designer there. I used to do content planning until it got really really busy. So now I do graphic design because that's what I am good at. And it's
Mm.
doing something good for a very important thing. And I'm also helping out with like other stuff as well on top of streaming, which I think is such a good way to meet new people and to also like gain new perspectives, and also have some fun. So I think like um I feel like with streaming, since I'm putting effort into, or at least some effort into like making it fun for people, I feel like I'm contributing at least to some of their interests and some of their free time, that it's entertainment that's at least somehow meaningful in a way. I don't know, but at least they get something out of it, out of that kind of creativity. And I wouldn't even say seeing the results is something, but to me it like at least it reaches people and it's not just selling a product, and I don't have to think about selling a product. So that's why I kind of like gravitate towards it, because it's not, again, like going back to the monetizing thing, it doesn't do that. I don't have to think about that. I don't have to think about my inherent value as a person. If something flops, I just go again and hit the start stream the next day, and the VOD for that particular flop can be gone forever. Not really, it stays on the internet, but it doesn't get clicked on. It's pretty much it. So, yeah, I think, I don't know. I feel like I went on a tangent.
No, I get it. Advertising is a big sinkhole.
Mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm,
once you work in the industry, it can kind of just be difficult to leave it, I guess. Even like mentally.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't actively worked in an agency for like 3 years now, I think. And yet I still feel like my mindset sometimes just snap back into that mode. And I think it's similar kinds of people always find themselves in this industry, I think, which is why it's the easiest thing in the world for me to like strike up a conversation with somebody who works in advertising, because everyone almost always like goes into it with the same kind of like desire to want to be creative, but like having to pick something that allows you to do that while earning like a steady paycheck. I think it's depending on the generation also, but you're seeing certain generations of people like realize, hey, it's not really achieving, it's not serving what I wanted it to serve when I got into the industry, and then now I'm gonna jump out of it, and doing other things, or like in your case, like doing streaming.
I
Or
think,
I,
in
I think the key word here is allocating your mental energy more towards streaming than to work.
I think that's pretty much it. Yes, definitely put a lot of stuff in work. Put a lot of like of thought into your work, into ads, into creating that campaign, making it successful, going through the hoops. But it can be very formulaic, I think. It can be very formulaic. And you can be good at it. But I think it's also important to see that there's with that kind of thought process, with that kind of thinking, because you have like all your tools of how people are, of
Mm.
how the audience can react, of how everything works digitally, because that's how everybody is these days. You have all these things, but how can you use that for other meaningful ways aside from your job? Because I think the part with advertising also, or like at
Mm-hmm.
least being like super super into your work and not really looking for other ways to put your creativity into hobbies, is that you can be super stuck in that work mode and never get out, and never like look past the bubble of your cubicle or look past your laptop to see other things. Because I could say also, like in streaming, I've met people in different walks of life that I learned from, because and otherwise I wouldn't be able to like really get to know things outside of what I know in ads. I
Hmm.
think it's really that conscious decision to just try and find other ways to like um do stuff and to also find things that serve you or at least
Yeah.
serve you and your soul.
And on that note, I think this is a good place to wrap it. But just as one final thing, for the people who are looking for something new to obsess over, if they wanted to get into streaming as a potential creative outlet slash obsession, what would be your piece of advice to those people?
I think with streaming, you could get caught up with audience, right? Because I think that's where people tend to like struggle with. They start with like one chatter and stuff like that. So I think I don't know how I could talk about growth in that way because I had friends who were frequent in my streams until it attracted people. So I think it's for me like I started that way, but for those who are continuing and wanna maybe I guess like spice things up or something. I don't know, I think looking at games really helped because for me like when I started playing indie games, that's when I started like thinking about other ways to have that kind of interaction. Because there are some games, right, where there will be like Twitch integrations and all that, but there are gonna be some games where it doesn't have a Twitch integration. I remember there was this one time that I did The Sims. And me and my friends wanted to do multiplayer Sims. So I'm just like, okay, how can we play multiplayer in this single player game? So we ended up just using Parsec. So we shared one mouse literally, and we
Oh
took
my
turns
gosh.
like doing the characters. So it became kind of like roleplay but Sims, and it's turn based. It's turn based Sims
Self
with one
imposed
mouse
turn based.
via Parsec. And then I looked at other like indie games because they do have different kinds of mechanics. So I think it's maybe one way is to think of your stream as a game. And like how I did with the battle pass, I thought of it as a game. What are the things that people do? How could they earn XYZ currency? What can they get from this? What um cool animations can you do with that? And I think thinking of it in that kind of way might open up other things. And I think that comes also with like playing different kinds of interactive stuff out there.
Hmm.
It kind of borders on making a game almost. I've thought about it. Like maybe I should just make a game, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I don't have the time. I don't have the time for that. Maybe someday. Who knows? I don't think it's gonna be interesting enough. That's why I was just like, well, a stream is a one-off kind of thing. It can just last for one quarter, 1 week. So I don't know if I'm making sense. I think it's just really to see your audience. What do they like? How can you how can you make them go crazy about something? And it might just honestly be your mod's face popping up if they do like a command for fun. I don't know. Or a battle pass, something like that. Just have fun with it basically.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good like takeaway because streaming is such an as a hobby, as a hyperfixation, it is so two-way kind of thing. There's no way you can stream without taking into account the audience that you're gonna have. But then that's where it's really important to hold on to certain values like just having fun and being creative about it. And I'm really glad that you got to share like a little bit of how you've been creative with streams and how it's brought you joy. Thank you so much for being here, Hera.
Thank you for inviting.
Yeah.
I like web fishing also. Pretty great. Pretty
I
great game,
know, I
guys.
know. I need to keep
It's
playing
a
this
good
now.
thing.